Hello G-Fans, Steve Blankard here again. Continuing to work on this D18 transfer case. So I wanted to show you a couple little things I'm doing with it. I've scrubbed it and cleaned it in the parts washer, which is mostly filled with kerosene. I scrubbed it, got all the heavy grease off. So I'm going through and I'm cleaning all the gasket surfaces and checking all the threaded holes. A couple things for the gasket surfaces, a really good thing to use is a Scotch-Brite type of scrubbing material. Helps remove some of the old gasket material and cleans it up. Another little trick I want to show you is, often these holes, when something gets tightened up, the holes get pulled out a little bit, or the edges get boogered up from someone trying to pry with a screwdriver. So to see if you have any high spots or edges that could interfere with the gasket or uneven surface, I take a straight edge like this, and I just set it on the surface and push it over it. Don't pull it, but push it over it, and if it encounters a high spot, it'll stop and snag on it. So it's really easy to detect if you have a high spot somewhere. Now I've already cleaned these up. I had a couple high spots right basically on the edges, and I've cleaned those up already. But by just taking a straight edge rule, like a 6-inch rule, pressing across, you'll be able to really quickly detect if there's a high spot. Now the other thing is cleaning out the threaded holes. I mentioned earlier that I don't like glass beading, things like this that have lots of threaded holes and nooks and crannies, because it's so hard to get all that grit out if you don't have a hot tank, which most of us working at home don't. So one thing that's pretty handy to do is take a rifle bore brush. Use a bronze bristle brushes. I chuck them in a drill, and I can use those for cleaning out these holes. And that helps break apart, break any of that nasty stuff that's in there. But the other thing that's really good are these things called chasing dies. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with these. They're not the same as chasing dies and taps, but they're not the same as cutting taps. These are for chasing threads, and you can see this has got a hex on it for a 1/2-inch wrench. And I don't know how well you can see this, but this looks like a nut, but it has slots cut in it. And these are just for cleaning threads, and they can also straighten out some deformed threads a little bit. So they're really good for cleaning threaded holes like this. So I can just take that and screw that into the threaded hole, and it's going to catch all that nasty stuff. And if it gets a little tight, I can put a wrench on it and just run it all the way down, and that'll clean the threads. It'll straighten any of them that are dinged up a little bit, and you take it out, and then the grit will be caught up in the little slots that are cut in it. So these are really good, and they're, like I said, they're different than regular cutting taps. They don't cut the material. They're not sharp. They're a few thousandths smaller in diameter, but they're great for cleaning out your threads and straightening up. If you got something that's a little bit boogered up, or you got a bolt that's got some boogered up threads, you can run that die over it, and it'll straighten those threads out without cutting the threads off, which is something you don't want to do. So anyway, just another little update on where I'm at on the transfer case. I'm taking apart the second transfer case I got for all the parking brake parts that I need, because the parking brake parts on this one were all badly rusted, and I'll use those. And I'm probably going to take that one all the way apart too, and just see how those parts look, and maybe use the best of both of them to build one. That one's got a broken chunk off the casing itself, so I can't use it. So anyway, talk to y'all later. Bye.